Before we can talk about where we're going, we first need to take an honest look at where we are. Today we're going to look at the 3 kinds of resources that sustain our life as a church. Our people, our human resources, our finances, our financial resources, and our physical resources or our building. Each part tells the story of who we are today and where God may be calling us next. Let's begin with our people, who are at the heart of everything we do. Our employees, members, visitors, and community at large are the very heart of this organization. Like many churches, including some of those that you all visited a few weeks back, we're feeling the strain in several ways. Shrinking membership roles mean there are fewer people to share the work of ministry, mission, and maintenance. Aging demographics bring deep wisdom and faith, but they also bring new needs for accessibility, energy, and care. And finally, differing abilities and competing life demands make it difficult to rely on the same small group to carry out all responsibilities. Yet through it all, I'm so proud to say this community has shown remarkable resilience. Time and again, people step up, offering their gifts, their time, and their compassion. And we continue to find creative ways to serve and sustain the ministries that matter most. But we must also be honest. This level of effort is not sustainable. Over the years, we've burned out more than a few faithful volunteers. I'm quite certain that as you sit there, you can think a few come to your mind, right? Today, a small handful of individuals are carrying an ever-increasing share of the load. For example, 2 of our currently serving elders are consistently giving 10 to 20 hours each week just to keep operations running. We like to say around here, many hands make light work, and that is so true. But too often we find ourselves with fewer hands than the work requires. This is not a reflection of anyone's commitment. It's simply the reality of our changing congregation and the changing world we live in. So as we move forward, we have to ask, how can we structure our ministry so that it honors both our gifts and our limits? Of course, those limits show up not just in time and energy, but also in our financial life. Like many churches, again, including some of those that we just visited, our finances tell a story that's both faithful and fragile. The good news is that giving remains strong among those who are still with us, but expenses continue to rise faster than we can keep up with. So let's take a look at what that means for us. Over the past decade, revenue has declined by 32%. This reflects a broader trend within our membership, which has decreased by 58% during that same period. The connection is clear. Fewer members naturally means fewer pledges and contributions. Yet there is a bright spot, and it deserves recognition. Those who remain have been deeply faithful and generous. Many have maintained and even increased their giving in recent years. This steady faithfulness has allowed us to continue vital ministries and meet our obligations even as those financial pressures continue to grow. At the same time, our expenses have risen sharply. The largest driver of that increase has been building and grounds costs, which have grown 125% over the past decade. Key factors include rising utility costs for heat and electricity, more frequent and costly repairs, shifts from donated to paid snow removal, and escalating building insurance premiums. And let's talk for just a second about the insurance market, which is increasingly unstable. It has become a very difficult endeavor every winter to attempt to price out the insurance coverage for the coming year. A lot of insurers are getting out of the church business more specifically out of the large, big, old building business. So it is challenging to find an insurer for the building. And we are looking at spending roughly $20,000 a year now on insurance. In addition to those other expenses that have been rising, we've made salary adjustments in recent years to correct past underpayment and ensure that our employees are compensated at a fair and competitive rate. Those were necessary steps to reflect our values of justice, dignity, and care for those that serve this congregation. Importantly, even as those financial pressures have grown, the mission focus has remained strong. The addition of the monthly community breakfast, the blessing box, and regular community assistance efforts reflect our commitment to serve our neighbors, not just to sustain the building. These ministries are signs of life and hope, reminding us that faithfulness cannot be measured by size or wealth alone. So while that financial picture is challenging, it is also a story of perseverance and purpose. We've continued to serve the community with open hearts. But again, an honest moment of self-reflection here. Many of our financial strains come from a source that's impossible to ignore, and that is our building. I think we can all agree that our building is more than brick and mortar. It is a vessel that's carried generations of faith, but it also carries the weight of time. And as we'll see, the costs of keeping it functional, physically, financially, and environmentally are becoming increasingly difficult to sustain. As you can see up on the screen, we have identified several major repairs that will require substantial investment, including lead pipe remediation, plaster repair and asbestos remediation, tuck pointing and masonry work. And these repairs are simply essential to maintain the basic safety and function within the building. These repairs do not improve the experience for the average churchgoer. They do not update threadbare carpeting or enhance accessibility or refresh the building's dated aesthetic. They don't add air conditioning in the sanctuary. A few years back, we looked into doing that at a cost of about $80,000. And ultimately, we didn't move forward because the types of units that are available for the space that we have also aren't super efficient. And not a guarantee that it would have been a nice, comfortable, cozy space, even making that investment. Finally, those basic fixes don't repair the organ, which, due to our inability to control the temperature within that space, require anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 just in repairs at present. Meanwhile, the building remains largely empty throughout the week. Yet our heating, lighting, and other utilities must still operate to maintain safety and stability. This is not only financially inefficient, it's also environmentally irresponsible. Maintaining and heating an underused structure of this size, almost 12,000 square feet, consumes significant energy and contributes, and I know it's just a drop in the bucket, but it does contribute, however small, to the broader climate crisis. As people of faith, we're called to be good stewards of creation, which includes making responsible choices about how we use and sustain that physical space. In addition, accessibility, efficiency, and safety concerns affect not only our congregation, but also partners and visitors. I think this next part's going to be a little bit difficult to hear, and it's a little difficult to say, but it's important. Our building currently provides donated space for Samaritan Counseling, which operates on the second floor. However, they've begun exploring whether the space still meets their needs, citing challenges with temperature consistency, accessibility, and security. So we have to ask ourselves a faithful but difficult question. If a long-term partner receiving the space at no cost is questioning its viability, is this still the right space for our ministry and mission? Many well-intentioned people suggest renting out space to offset costs. And unfortunately, the building's age, layout, and maintenance needs make it impractical for rental or shared use without significant upgrades. We also see the building's limitations in how we serve our own ministries. If you've ever volunteered at a community breakfast, you know how challenging the temperature in Magnolia Hall and the kitchen can be. Even after the weather has turned a little bit cooler, it takes a while for it to trickle downstairs. Hey, sometimes the dishwasher leaks and easily accessible cold water is challenging to find. Those who run our tech desk each week know that plaster dust literally trickles down onto the workspace. And for those who stock the blessing box daily they do this task. The process is both admirable and exhausting. Supplies stored upstairs must be loaded onto a cart, taken down the elevator, carried outside, returned again, up, down, up, down. Each trip a reminder that inefficiency costs not just time, but human energy. And I get it. These may seem like small inconveniences, but together they stack up and they paint a larger picture. Our space, though sacred, is not serving us as well as we are serving it. As we look together at these resources, the human, financial, and physical resources, a clear story starts to emerge. And this is, my friends, not a fairy tale. It is a human, messy, complicated, real story. We are a congregation that is rich in faith, compassion, and perseverance. And at the same time, we are also stretched thin in the systems that sustain us. Our people continue to show up with extraordinary love and dedication, even as numbers shrink and energy wanes. Our finances reflect steady faithfulness, people giving generously, even as costs rise faster than income. And our building, this beautiful old space that has served generations before us, now requires more of our time, money, and energy than it returns in function, comfort, or sustainability. So now what? As we wrap up this presentation, the question before us is not simply about survival. It is so much deeper than that. It's how do we live faithfully with what we have and dream courageously about what could be? We are called to be good stewards of our mission, serving Oshkosh with energy, intelligence, imagination, and love. To be good stewards also means caring for our people, making sure no one burns out trying to keep old systems afloat. It means caring for our earth, recognizing that heating and maintaining an underused building comes at a cost not just to our budget, but to creation itself. And it means caring for our future, asking what kind of church we're becoming and what kind of world we want to help build. This moment right here and right now invites us to listen to one another, to our community, both within and outside of this space. And most importantly, to the quiet voice of the Spirit that still whispers within these walls. We may not yet know exactly what the next chapter is going to look like. But if we bring the same faith, love, and courage that our ancestors who built this church generations ago did, we just might have a chance to reach a generation that we will never know. And isn't that what it's all about? I thank you so much for your time and attention to this presentation today, and I'm going to turn it back over to Pastor Deb for a question and answer time and to share next steps.